tickets are going to be required to enter nightclubs, and venues are going to they'll have to be purchased at least an hour in advance now. This is under new rules that are being discussed between government officials and industry representatives this morning. And Sunil Sharpe from Give Us the Night was actually at that meeting this morning. He's on the line. So what's the story, Sunil? You'll have to book a ticket an hour now in advance online before you go.
It appears so. This is what we're being told currently. I mean, this conversation was first started during last week. I think it first came up on Wednesday. It was on the table then it was off the table, then it was back again Thursday, then it was gone again. Then there was silence from the departments throughout Friday until later that evening, when we got word that there would be a meeting, and we met, well, I think like 15 or 20 minutes notice, and we were told that ticketing would be coming into place. I mean, we're at this point now where I kind of have to concede that it's coming in. I think none of us want it to come in, but it appears like this is the final decision now. So it's really about how that change actually looks and how much this actually will affect the industry from here on in. It's about damage limitation, really, with this restriction and how long it remains in place. I mean, we need to know that there will be a prompt review of this, hopefully within a couple of weeks. So, there will be guidelines published on Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
But it's still not 100%, but that's what it appears to be come into place by the weekend.
Who does it apply to? Like, if I go to a pub tonight that can now stay open till 12:30, and that pub has a late licence and they're allowed to turn into a kind of a late bar or a nightclub, like at 11:30, do I have to book the ticket to sit on?
This is the way, and I think that the vintners will be best placed to answer that question, because from an operational point of view, they'll really, I mean, there are different challenges for them. I mean, yes, what do you do come 9, 10, 11 o'clock? Do you tell everyone they have to buy a ticket, or they have to go online? I mean, they might just decide they want to leave, So it'll have all sorts of negative impacts on venues and bars. But I think in general, we mightn't be able to gauge the full impact of that even within the first week or two. But I think as the winter wears on, I think you're going to see a drop off in attendances. I think the more obstacles that you put in front of people, not least even for the venues, but definitely for patrons, they're just going to say, like, another point that needs to be made around nightlife here in Ireland, we've got a very short window of time to actually even open our doors as nightclubs specifically. So, I mean, there was a lot of talk around the length of queues outside certain nightclubs like Coppers at the weekend. But, by adding these extra obstacles and hurdles, you're actually lengthening the time that people are going to be queuing out on the street, because, this ticket has to be verified, this cert has to be verified and checked against this ID. I mean, we really do risk over-regulating the industry into oblivion, and to the point where people are going to just leave Ireland and go elsewhere to enjoy their weekends.
I know some people will be listening to this, Sunil, and they'll say, but sure, look, you book tickets to go to a match, you'll book tickets to go to the theatre, any show. What's the difference?
It's a different culture, because I think generally if people are going to a match, they've already decided that they're going to a match. Generally, people, when they're going out at night, they go into their local town or city and see where the night takes them, So it's you can't really compare. You can from the perspective of them both being ticketed events, but they're completely different environments. Generally as well, with the smaller local events, those that might have residents, DJs and musicians, that they'll be ones that will be impacted greatly by this as well. Whatever about larger events and headliner acts and international artists coming over to Ireland, people tend to buy tickets in advance for those sort of events, even more than they used to in the past. But for your local venue and nightclub and walk-up crowds that could be going to late bars as well, this could have a really detrimental impact on them. And don't forget, there's a lot of venues that haven't reopened because of uncertainty.
Yeah.
They didn't open last weekend. There are other venues that won't be reopening. They're shut permanently. And the longer we stayed shut, the more sure we made their fate in terms of, a lot of business owners just decided they could, like, if the business model becomes this difficult, they're going to just change or sell up or, become another type of business, and this is what we have to be mindful of, is that some venues just won't open if they're over-regulated like this as well. So we've already experienced enough casualties. We don't want any more, and we do need to enable and empower those existing venues and promoters to be able to do business, to be able to give patrons what they're looking for, and to not drive them up north or
just
overseas.
Just logistically, Sunil, around this, how far in advance are you going to be able to book tickets for places?
Well, it looks like an hour
just
is the deadline, but. An hour, yeah. But like, where did they get an hour from, and what are they basing this off? Well, what international model are they basing this off, where it has to be 1 hour? You know, our ticket only. I mean, the conversation around ticket only. I mean, this is something that we talked about last year in terms of a return of the industry. So if it was that the ticket only idea was something that the government had been thinking about, they could have liaised with the industry far earlier on this. A lot of this is down to government laziness. This process could have started at the very least at the beginning of September, after their last announcement about reopening. But the communication with the industry, it's just not been consistent. I mean, there are also many event organisers who aren't operating in a fixed venue environment who've been barely consulted. I mean, these are the type of people who manage events of all types, who have a wide range of expertise in terms of crowd management, etc., ticketing. I have more faith in them and their feedback than a last-minute decision made by a government official or two.
Okay.
Obviously, clubs and venues and bars will do their very best also, and did an exceptional job over the weekend. But they also have their hands full. And I think it's really important that we involve all parts of the events industry and don't just tell them what way it's going to be last minute, way beyond the time that is acceptable as well. Why on earth? Like, we've reopened already, and the final guidelines still haven't been supplied to the industry.
Yeah, well, look, that is a fair point just on that. All right, look, Sunil Sharpe from Give Us the Night, thanks for joining us here with an update on that there today.